All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome. I'm Barbra Gago. I'm the founder and CEO at Pando. Pando is a performance platform designed to kill performance reviews and help you increase talent density through continuous performance calibration. I'm thrilled to facilitate this conversation, preparing for, planning, envisioning what the future of human-centered work looks like. It feels more urgent and timely than ever. I think we're all experiencing a world of a lot of uncertainty, rapid advances in things like AI, increasingly distributed workforces. That's driving a lot of change in employer expectations, employee expectations. And I think that what we're all here to do and discuss and discover is how do we create organizational cultures where humans thrive in that challenging environment. Today, joining me are two incredible leaders who bring deep real-world experience from this perspective around navigating these dynamics. Shlomit Gruman, ex-Chief People Officer at Miro, previously Chief People Officer and leader in many consumer tech, banking, global technology companies. She's been responsible for steering the companies through hypergrowth with international expansion, major transformational and scaling initiatives. And Tom Griffiths, CEO and co-founder at Hone, one of our partners for this event. Thank you for that. And Hone is a leadership development platform helping companies build stronger, more connected, and more human leaders in that increasingly virtual world. Tom is also a multiple-time founder. He also founded a gaming platform called FanDuel. He brings perspective here from both of those experiences with his current company, Building Hone, as well as that from starting from scratch through hypergrowth and exit. So welcome, both of you. Thank you so much for being here. I think we'll just jump right in. We've got about 30 minutes. So let's talk about how do we keep our companies and organizations human. And Tom, maybe I can start with you, and maybe you can talk a little bit about how you've been able to, in the past, in your current role and company, sort of maintain this human centricity, especially as we're seeing different cultures, different time zones, lots of change, lots of things evolving. What has been some of your experience there?
Yeah, thanks, Barbara. Great to be here with you all. I'm excited to talk about this topic. I think, we went through a period of hypergrowth with FanDuel across many different time zones and offices. With Hone, similarly, we've grown fast, and we work with a lot of multinational companies that are tackling this problem, and it's really hard. I think the way I think about human centricity is it's not in conflict with results orientation. That's always the thing that sometimes can be a challenge. It's like, are we human centered? And perhaps pre-COVID, it was easy to be human centered because budgets were endless. You could pay people whatever they wanted, and it was perhaps over on that side of the spectrum. Since COVID and more challenging, tight economies, many companies have kind of corrected towards results orientation, and perhaps that's sometimes been at the expense of their human centricity or people orientation. But I think the good news for everyone is that it's not a either or. I think of it more like a 2x2, where you want to be in that top right quadrant where you're able to be focused on the people, but also focused on the results. And so that's where I think that we need to lead. I think that that's where people initiatives and investments get the most traction with CEOs and C-suite, is when you can kind of make the case that they're in that human plus results, or good for the people, good for the business place.
Yeah.
So a couple of examples that spring to mind. The way that we lead on our all hands talking about results is that those results power our mission. And that's the reason that people join the company. And so connecting them to not just the financials, but how that empowers the business, to go achieve its mission and then kind of do the work that they want to do is really powerful. And then, other ways that we lead in our all hands is just trying to get folks on the mic to celebrate their own wins and appreciate each other. So that kind of open forum of celebrating each other has really helped to connect people, even when it's distributed, and then it's linked to both the human and the results.
Yeah, I think the performance side is really interesting because, as you said, there's been kind of this pendulum swing. It's been moving more over the last decade or so. It's like moving more towards employee centricity or human centricity, and kind of how do we think about that when we look at our programs and we're not all just, machines in a factory. But on the performance side, it isn't just about employee growth or career development. Like that needs to be intertwined with performance metrics and where the company is going and what the companies are trying to achieve. So that makes a lot of sense. Shlomit, how about you? What has been your experience?
Yeah, so first of all, good morning, good day. Great being here, and thanks for organizing this amazing event. The way I'm thinking about scaling organization and keeping the human aspect there is like, imagine going into an elevator. So when the company is small, you know everyone in the elevator. So you're naturally saying hello to everyone. Then, there are some additional people coming and you're still saying hello because that's the polite things to do. And then, the company becomes so big that you don't know most of the people that go into the elevator. And this is where you need to have some rules of the game as to what is the smell of the place here. So how do we operate once company reaches a certain level?
Yeah.
And this is also typically where a lot of things break, or rather when you have to make a lot of changes at the same time. And I think the key thing that I've seen also from experience is that it starts with intentionality. So being very, very intentional about what system you want to build. There is always culture, norm, rituals, but you need to make sure that this is something that is repeatable, that is sustainable, that is consistent, so something that people can recognize. So it's things like, how do we communicate? Where do we communicate? So what's happening in our all hands? So what Tom was talking about, what's happening on Slack or on emails? What do we use Slack or emails on? Where do we keep content? How regular do we update the content? How performance management looks like, which is also an extremely important question, because we know that there are different types of performance and it's not good or bad. It's just like what you need, for that stage of the company or wherever you are, and how granular you want your performance management to look like. What work do you do with managers, which are extremely, extremely important in amplifying everything that you build? So I think it's pretty much thinking about the 3 R's of reminders, repetitions, and rituals. It's like, what are the R's that you want to create, and make sure that you are being very intentional in creating the right smell of the place.
Yeah, I like that. And the elevator is a good analogy. And you and I share Miro as a history. I was there pre-Series A, so much earlier than you were there more recently. And I remember because I was based in San Francisco and the team was mostly outside of the US at that time. And one of the things that we did from an intention perspective was very early, we behaved as if we were fully remote because there was a lot of people who were co-located in certain offices. And then there were people who were not yet, or we hadn't built out the San Francisco office yet, for example. And so it was really important that we all had the same experience. So instead of having, the video with 10 people in the room and then the one person remote, it was like, no, everybody's going to be on their computer. So obviously that was like more than 5 years ago, early days of remote collaboration. But it was an important point that we had to make that distinction. And actually, in my welcome spiel to everybody about this event, I kind of made the case that companies who are the most intentional are going to be the ones who win as we navigate through all of this change, because building fast and breaking things is great, but also just going fast is not the thing that's going to help us succeed. That we actually really do need to have a lot of intention and thought behind how all of these things work together.
Exactly. And pay attention. It's a lot about behaviors, the
Yeah.
behaviors that you want to amplify.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, that's something that we see a lot, because, Pando is designed to sort of serve up reminders of what those behaviors are and catch them. And that's something that we need to be looking at in terms of how are we making decisions, what's sort of the operating principles behind that, or of course, values. So yeah, I think it's really interesting. And I guess kind of segueing into the pressures that Tom mentioned earlier about, we're all sort of under pressure. The economy is what it is. Things are changing. There's AI adoption, remote work. How do we really balance the drive for productivity with maintaining that human connection? Because we really could, lose our humanity. And I've had conversations about AI with many folks, and another speaker on a session we're going to be having tomorrow was talking about how AI is his path to becoming more human and doing things more human, because we also have fallen into doing things that aren't that human in the way that we work. So what's the best way to sort of balance that? And Shlomit, I'll start with you. What are some of the lessons you've learned? What are some of the tactics that have been successful?
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, I think first, when it comes to AI, and I know we're going to talk more about AI, and that's going to be a big topic also throughout the 2 days. It actually makes us more human. So I personally, this is not something that I fear of. I actually think that it's a great leverage, because you can use the insights of AI to know people better. And you can also use the free time that AI provides us to have really meaningful conversations to become actually more human. And it's scary to see today that if a year ago people would choose AI as that's a great assistant, a great coach or a co-pilot or a tool for efficiency. Today, people choose AI as being an empathic advisor. So it's not that AI is becoming more empathic. I think AI maybe becomes more empathic or learning us better, but also human becoming less empathic. And that's really the scary thing. So I think the question is, how do we leverage AI? And there is a very big opportunity to, AI to IA. So AI to have instant insights or instant actions to actually have a meaningful conversation and to personalize what the person actually needs. When you think about learning, when you think about coaching for managers from any aspects, AI can help us to be very precise and again, very, very intentional. And I would only add, when it comes to well-being, personally, what I've seen and as a leader and as a person, that it's a lot about these minimal viable interventions, the MVIs, the small things that we can do on a consistent basis that make a huge difference over time. So really paying attention to reframing situations, taking a pause, writing in a journal, doing a gratitude exercise. So that's something that I've been doing on a regular basis with my teams for the last more than 2 years already, maybe 3 years. So starting every team meeting with what are we grateful for the last week? And it can be something personal, it can be something work related, because it really helps to shift the thinking towards the good things, as there is so much, that to complain about or not be happy about. We are wired also always to pay attention to the things that are not working, but actually there is so much to be grateful for. And this is what builds resilience. This is also what builds optimism, is when you really intentionally paying attention to what is actually working well.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. I like the reflection and the gratitude. It just makes you a better human too.
Exactly.
Tom,
Sure.
what about you?
Yeah, just to build on that,
Yeah.
we've really been enjoying a practice at our leadership team meetings where we start with one work win and one personal win. Just in kind of 60 seconds per leader, you go around the table and you get to know about people's side projects that they've been kind of building a leather bag for themselves, or that someone's kid is learning the drums, and that just humanizes everyone in the room and changes the tone of the meeting, as well as kind of being in that top right quadrant around celebrating work wins that also humanize the people that have achieved them. So yeah, +1 to that kind of gratitude or celebration practice. I think so much of the work of dealing with the pressures of the economy or the AI transformation happens at the frontline management layer. We can lead and set the right mindsets and direction, but the day in, day out support of people who are trying to figure out how to use AI, or how this managing the fears around how their jobs are going to change happens with frontline management. And so the good news is that you can still teach those universal management principles that are skills that are human-centric, of kind of deep listening, or coaching, or having a conversation about someone's future, not just kind of letting it be chat GPT prompt that they're learning, but also combine organized curriculum and skills development with the kind of rapid pace of new tools, so that people can be empowered on the front line to have those difficult conversations. I think the kinds of skills that people need are elevating, right? So much is getting automated, so much is getting agentified. What is left for humans to do? Well, I think it is those kind of higher order skills like leadership and management, but also kind of creativity and empathy. And I saw an interesting soundbite yesterday that the Academy Awards, so the Oscars, are now not penalizing people for using AI. You can have special effects forever, right? And so now AI just gives you amazing special effects. And what they're really zeroing in on as skill is the kind of creativity, the vision, and the storytelling of the the director, the producer, the artists. And so I think that's where we need to be in work, is leveraging those unique qualities of creativity and vision and humanity that then gets manifested through tools. And so equipping people to have those skills, unlock that potential, and do that through the way that they're managed.
Yeah. I mean, I like also, well, first, I like your ceremony of personal win and work win. We do kind of like different icebreakers every time, but I like the consistency of the structure. And also, there's always new things to celebrate on both fronts. I think there's like AI isn't the solution for everything. Like, we do have some problems that need to be resolved regardless of if we use AI or not. And I think you've both made great points about how it can help us be more human. And I think those ceremonies are a really great way to start that, just in terms of meetings or how you're having career conversations or coaching and development. I think, I've heard a lot of companies using ChatGPT to write reviews, for example, whereas I would and do advocate more for leveraging tools like that to help you get better at giving feedback. So what are the practices that you can, role play with AI before you give someone feedback, so that you're actually improving that skill instead of also delegating it. So I think those are the kinds of things that I'm really excited about in terms of keeping our humanity and making focusing on how we're also improving employees and their development.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
did you have another comment? Sorry.
I would only add to it, because I think that's a really great point about skills. One thing that I found very clearly, and I see it particularly in the past year, is that experience almost doesn't matter. With AI, there is so much access to knowledge, content, and information. And really what is important to pay attention to is mindset.
Yeah.
Attitude and mindset. So these are kind of the character skills. You can also define it as skills, but really, really double down on it in the hiring process, and in everything that we do. That makes a huge difference also in how you apply AI and adopt AI.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, so I guess we have a few minutes remaining, and when we think about sort of looking ahead, obviously, things are moving so quickly, but in a world where we want to, remain human-centered and have a human-centered workforce, what are the things that we should be doing now? Like, what should we be focused on today, tomorrow, this year, that will really set us up to continue to be successful in the future, but also human-centered? And Tom, maybe I can start with you.
Yeah, I think that things are changing so rapidly that the skills and the mindsets are the things that matter, and we should be focusing on, building on Shlomit's point. I think that the ability to learn, the ability to adapt, both as an IC and as a leader, and kind of encouraging and fostering that, are really important mindsets or skills that can be developed, or values that can be impressed on folks by leadership, right? We've seen the Shopify memo and the Duolingo memo, just like setting those expectations that, we do expect you to be embracing these tools day in, day out. And this is the new norm. So I think setting expectations around adoption, around learning, is really important. And then I think also cultivating the right skills through formal training experiences for the front line and not just the managers, around how people can sharpen their learning mindsets, sharpen their human communication, sharpen their storytelling, sharpen their vision skills, sharpen their problem solving. And I think taste is also a really interesting dimension of humans when it comes to collaborating with AI. So not just kind of dumping out the output. I'm sure many of us have had documents sent to us that are obviously just straight out of ChatGPT. How can you take a critical eye to the pieces that are useful and the pieces that aren't? And so just equipping people to, regardless of how quickly and how great the technology gets, be good at learning it, and then be good at kind of editing on the back end so that it can really have an impact for you in the organization.
Yeah, I think along the lines of skills, we advocate for competency-based feedback and performance, and just bringing what those behaviors are to the forefront so that individuals understand how they're actually developing and growing those skills, and kind of focusing on that development, as you mentioned. Shlomit, how about you?
Yeah.
What's your kind of pro tips?
I almost think that we're living in times of go back to basics, as
Yeah.
simple as it sounds.
100%.
Have meaningful conversations with people, connect with people. If you look at the number one happiness or driver of happiness at work is relationships. I mean, by the way, it's the number one reason for happiness overall of humans.
Right.
But so it works. So the quality of relationships. So it's really going back to basics in having this conversation, getting to know each other. As we are seeing with the increase of AI, the adoption of AI, we see a decrease in people's sentiment globally. If you look at the Gallup recent data, the Better Up data that talks about decline in performance, the cost of it to organizations. So it's almost like, let's get to know each other, and let's create the space and the time to do it with AI help that can automate a lot for us, do a lot for us, helps us with a lot of really important insights. I would also echo on what Tom mentioned several times. Managers are really, really important, supporting managers throughout the organizations, and they are really, really amplifiers of everything that we are trying to do. And at the same time, also, we need to remember that with AI, every person is a manager. So we really have to take into consideration that the previous structures might not help us anymore. So it really requires us to rethink how we operate, how intentional we are, how performance looks like, what is the role of leadership, what is the role of management. So I would say it's a blend of rethinking and being very open to, there is a lot that we don't know, actually, and going back to basics. So it's a bit of like it's a blend. I would use the word hybrid, but like I know when I say hybrid, everyone thinks about remote and going back to office. No, it's a hybrid also in terms of, human and AI and how we blend the two worlds together.
Right. Well, thank you so much. I like back to basics. You guys have shared so much. Thank you for sharing your insights and stories. We are going to wrap up the session. For everyone here, I hope you enjoy the rest of Panda Horizons. We have a lot of great content. Thanks so much for being here. Thank you, Tom and Shlomit. We'll see you soon.
Thank you.